Should I call my grandmother or my grandfather by their name or by their first name? Hmm? Is that appropriate? Mom, can I do that? As people who are bringing up children in diaspora, it is actually very challenging because these children are exposed to a diversity of cultures, and cultures do things differently. So I have interacted with one of the grandmothers, a colleague of mine, who told me, Charlotte, for me, I prefer my children to call me by my first name because calling me grandma or nanny or jaja or what really makes me feel very, very old. So just to be clear, this person is not African, is not, for example, from an African background. So in other cultures, for example, the Anglo Australians, it's fine to call your older people by their first name. So there is no need to put titles. But in our context and in the context of Ankole culture, we show respect to older people by using titles like Kaka for grandmother. So you can say Kaka, you can call her Kaka, you can call her Nyakwenkuru. The Baganda use Jaja, so you can also use Jaja. And what titles like Mawenkuru or Nyakwenkuru mean is that Mawenkuru means this is my old mother. So in our culture, in African culture, your mother, your grandmother, and the sisters of your mother, they are all your mothers, because ideally this is about the cultural way of bringing up children is that children are brought up by a village. They are brought up by mothers in a community. So whoever is older than you is actually your mother, is actually your father, and they have a responsibility to take care of you. So this is why you say Mawe Enkuru, my older mother, and Shwenkuru. Shwenkuru means my older father. So Mawenkuru, Shwenkuru, Kaka for grandmother, and Shwenkuru for grandfather. We don't really call our grandparents by their first name. That is a sign of disrespect, especially in Ankole culture. If the grandparent is fine with you calling them by their first name, you need to first get that consent, have a discussion with your parents and also with your grandparents to find out if they are okay with you calling them by their first name. But the culture really expects that we use some titles and not really use their names as a sign of respect. It's also when you're talking to your grandparent, you need to be humble when you're talking to them. You don't argue with them in a disrespectful way, but you rather be humble and listen to what they are sharing with you. And these grandparents, for example, also when you're greeting them, you also need to, some people, some kneel down to greet them. Again, when you're serving them food, for example, it's also that you're very respectful, you're kneeling down. and you're very gentle to show that you respect them. You respect them for who they are. If your grandparents were not alive, your parents would not be alive, and therefore you would not be alive. So it's very important that whoever they are, whether they are poor, whether they are rich, whether they are educated, whether they can speak English or not, you need to respect them for who they are, for giving birth to your parents and bringing you to life. So let's find and let's also advise or teach our children to be respectful to older parents. Sometimes, like in diaspora, when they don't know English, our children tend to, speak to them in whichever way or dismiss them. But it's very important that they learn that we need to be respectful, to our grandparents, irrespective of their class, irrespective of their level of education, irrespective of their wealth, or if they speak good English or not, or not. And interestingly, these grandparents, they know lots of stories, based on their lived experiences, but also the experiences they've watched come along, in their lives. So if they don't know English, please learn Lunyankole or learn the language that they can speak so that you can have a conversation with them, you know. And maybe you could teach them the language, if you know English, you could try to teach them English as they also teach you Lunyankole and tell you stories, tell you proverbs, tell you all these, stories about their lives and the lives of others that they have witnessed. So there's actually a lot to learn from our grandparents if we have conversations with them, if we spend time with them, and if we are respectful. So tell me, what kind of titles do you call your grandparents in your culture? Share with us on this forum. Please subscribe for more videos, on Nkole Chiga Academy. Bye.